Welcome, everybody. I am excited to bring you Jeff Reekers from Aircall. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you, Karina. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jeff, I'd love to start things off with just a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, and how you got to Aircall.
Sure. So my name is Jeff Reekers, as you mentioned, and I joined on as VP Marketing Aircall about 2 years ago now, and I came from a history of B2B software companies, being a lead marketer at companies in both the Bay Area and in New York City, and I joined Aircall for a number of reasons, but mainly it was when I saw the product and I got to know what the goals and the mission were for the organization. In a very early startup that I was COO of back in like 2008 or 2009 called Lawline, I had set up phone systems, and I set up ShoreTel for our organization for like 50 people, and it was a nightmare. It wasn't specifically ShoreTel, it was just where the technology was at that time. And so I knew that phone systems and IT wasn't something that I wanted to head towards in my career. However, fast forward about 10 years later, I never touched a phone system again in terms of the setup, and I met Aircall at a trade show before I had worked there, and I saw the product, and I got set up with my own phone number. I was adding team members to it immediately on the demo. I was like making prank calls from a Zimbabwe phone number, and I was just having a great time with it. And I thought, I didn't know at that time if all technology had moved in this direction or if this was specific to Aircall. So I did a little bit more research, and I found that Aircall really had created something pretty unique. And I was lucky enough to have met Olivier kind of serendipitously around that time, who's our CEO. And from there, I ended up joining a few months later.
Right on. I love when people are users of products and clients of companies before they work there. That says a lot. That says a lot about Aircall for sure. So
for any marketer, I'll just say, for any marketer out there, the best thing you can do is have a product that you really love, and that's the best foundation to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the mission of Aircall, and that was what partly drew you to it. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we have sort of 3 stages as an organization that we want to go through. So our overarching mission is to allow support and sales teams to have smarter conversations with their prospects and with their customers. And the way we want to do that, first off, is by building a sort of a 10x better phone system. And that's what we're working on right now. This is all the CTIs that we're building out. This is the ease of use, the simplicity, the easy setup, everything that we've built out to date and that we're still building within the product. The second big thing that we're doing is on the integrations front. And whatever tools you're using, we want to be able to integrate those into Aircall so that you have the most relevant information as a support team, as a support agent, as a sales account executive, or for anybody in the organization. I have the most relevant information possible so I can have a better phone call before I even answer it. And then the third part that we really want to start working towards is how do we leverage even greater insights off the integrations that we have. And I can't go too far into that, but the overarching mission is to provide better information so that your team can have better and smarter conversations.
Awesome. So let's dive a little bit into the Aircall tools, and specifically around, I'd love to just start with kind of at the basic functionality, how people, what's your main value to people who are using older systems? What's the major life change that these teams are going to be seeing with how they work that Aircall provides?
It's the seamlessness of the integrations that we have. So we believe that the phone system is an independent thing that just exists outside of all the other softwares. And sort of taking a step back, we're in sort of software overload these days. We have 18 things that we log into, and I've got 18 different tabs open at any given time during the day across like 15 different browsers, and it just gets a little bit chaotic. So we want to simplify that. And the way we do that is through the integrations themselves, so that I'm pulling the most relevant information from all the systems that I'm using, specifically key ones like HubSpot. And then when I'm done and completed with that phone call, I'm seamlessly syncing information back into the system of record. So saving notes, saving the recordings, all in the right contact record. So I don't have to do any sort of post-call, notes or anything like that. It's just done for me. And that's the big thing that teams come to us for.
So what does it look like in the day-to-day of like a sales rep or a service rep who's using Aircall? What are they kind of doing with the tools, and what are they not doing because they have the tools?
Sure. So as a sales rep, for example, I'm doing all my outbound calling and prospecting off of it. I'm using the power dialer to automate all my phone calls. What's really cool about our power dialer is that you can just scrape a list off the copy and paste phone numbers into whatever you have and add them into a list. And we'll just automatically start dialing down there for you. So you're doing all your calling at a very high rate, highly productive version of phone application. And so I'm doing all my day-to-day conversations out of there. And then that's all I'm doing out of there. I'm not thinking about logging the call afterwards. I'm not thinking about, did I leave like a voicemail, or did I have a conversation? I'm not reviewing the call afterwards and taking notes on what I might have said or what the prospect might have said. It's all saved within the CRM automatically afterwards. So I just go on to the next call at that point. So I'm not doing any of that manual work that I once did for like data entry and that sort of thing. And on the support side, it's very similar. So I'm doing taking all my inbound calls through that. And I'm taking all the right inbound calls. So I'm not getting a call and then figuring out who I have to forward it to. Because all our functionality in the phone is ensuring that I have the right phone call and that the right customer is being connected with the right agent on the other end. And then that's it. I'm not taking notes. I'm not logging stuff into Jira or a help desk or whatever. I just go on to my next phone call.
Awesome. So that brings me to my last question for you, which is about the HubSpot integration. So I've dug into a little bit about the HubSpot integration, and a few of the things that you mentioned I think fit really well into that. So specifically for people, sales reps or service reps who are using the HubSpot CRM, who are in there all day, every day, how is the HubSpot integration going to help them do their jobs better?
Yeah, sure. So first off, traditionally, if you're using HubSpot, what's going to happen is I might be using a phone system that exists outside of it. And so I go into whatever the application is, and I probably copy the number that's in HubSpot. I go into my dialer, and then I type in the number, and I go back. Maybe a stronger iteration of that is I can do a click to dial, automatically logs the phone number, but I'm still in some sort of external application. And the integration that we have with the enterprise suite for HubSpot, that we specifically were the launch partner of HubSpot with when they released their calling API, which allows a really enterprise level telephony solution directly in HubSpot. And it's the first time you've been able to do this, really. And what that means is everything is directly embedded into the HubSpot interface. So once upon a time, I was doing things on my phone system, copy pasting calls, whatever, going back into HubSpot. Now everything's just coming out of my HubSpot interface. So all the information I have for the contact, if somebody calls me, that contact record is automatically popping up in HubSpot. Additionally, we have something that we launched called Insight Cards. So if somebody is calling me, I'm getting really relevant information directly in my dialer that summarizes who that prospect is, if there's an opportunity amount associated with it, what that is, what stage the deal is in. So I have some context even before I pick up the phone call, and I don't have to be switching screens. And that's the big thing that teams are coming to us for with the HubSpot integration. And it's really the first time that sort of thing has been available.
Yeah, I love it. So last question, actually, I got a bonus question for you because I'm just genuinely curious. So I love the Aircall website. I think you guys did a phenomenal job. I come from a background of doing website critiques and things like that. So I get really excited about this stuff. So I always love to hear from people like you, how you guys go about determining the messaging on your site and how you guys laid everything out. Like, what does that look like for you guys as an organization? Is it you're always iterating? Was it one big push to put something like that out?
Well, we're always iterating. I I'm happy you said that, because a constant dialogue is how we have to really change over the homepage and the website and keep improving it. So to us, there's always the next thing that we have to be doing that we're not representing correctly on the website. I think we do have a lot of work still to go on it. But in terms of how we've come up with what we have, I think it's just working backwards from the customer. And I think that oftentimes a marketer or somebody writing web copy will start with the product and try to write about the product. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I'm a big fan of the Jobs Be Done framework by
Yes.
and we think about that, and we try to work backwards from the job that we're trying to accomplish. And then the marketing website is essentially our brochure, and we're trying to represent the customers and the job that we're trying to accomplish as best as possible through that.
I love it. Well, kudos to you guys, because I think you guys are doing it really well. Jeff, I appreciate having you. I will let everybody know if you're interested in learning more about Aircall, go to aircall.io. If you're interested in starting a free trial, aircall.io/sign up. Jeff, thanks again for joining me today. It was awesome having you.
Karina, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.